guys, it's Mr. Scotty Pie here, and today in this video I'm going to be doing a rundown of my top, well, I think it's 22 MCU villains. So I'm going to be doing all the villains, not just a top 10. I'm going to do all of them, rank them all down. I'm going to be going to explain why I've chosen their positions, a bit of their redeemable features and things like that. Start off straight away, this is a big spoiler warning for all the films in the MCU and the MCU arc in general, because we'll be talking about maybe their demise or what they went on to do in the films themselves or throughout other films in the series. So please know, big spoiler warning going through this whole video. As I said to me, 22 villains. I'm going to talk about what I like about them, what I don't like about them, what their strengths and weaknesses are. I'm going to talk a bit. I'll say straight away. I'm not going to talk about the comics of them. It is purely their roles within the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, not about what happened in the comic books or what their story arc there. If I didn't like them in the film and they're great in the comic books, they got a low scoring, or vice versa. I've tried to pick one villain from each film, but as you'll see, that's not always true. In one of the films, I have picked two villains. You'll see as I go along. I know that I am going to upset a lot of you with some of these choices. I already know which ones they are as well. So obviously your list is not going to be the same as my list. I know which ones you're going to change, which ones you're going to rinse me about. But please listen to my arguments on that. And obviously, I'm not looking to change your mind. I'm just going to explain what my views are. So in the comments, drop me your lists, or which ones did you stick in your top 5, your top 3, your top 1, or 22 if you want. Or pick ones that I didn't include, because there are other villains, smaller villains maybe, that I didn't include. Like Doctor Strange, I didn't put Mamamoo in, because I didn't really think he was the main villain of this piece. I'll talk about that when I get to the Doctor Strange villain in this one. So yeah, let's start a conversation in the comments. I do reply to all comments. I do love chatting all things Marvel, or if you look at my previous videos, Doctor Who, nerdy things. If you do like these style of videos, also think about dropping a like on the video if you like this video. And I do talk about nerd culture and films and TV shows quite a lot on this channel, so think about dropping and subscribe. I'm going to do more lists, MCU lists, or various other lists throughout different films and different nerd culture TV shows and films, and just TV films in general. And other videos, I do video essays or comic-cons or hauls or unboxings, things like that. So think about dropping a subscribe on that, as I try to get a video out every week. So hopefully there's lots of things that you might enjoy in this channel. So without further ado, let's crack on with this list. First we have from Thor 1, the Destroyer. I didn't pick Loki for this film, but because I think he's more an Avengers 1 villain, because that's mainly what he is, so I picked him for that, not this one. I put the Destroyer. It looks like this, by the way. I need to tell you that because he is forgettable. He's easily defeated. He's got no motivation. Motivation's a big part in what I've done to try and pick my choices in this. I've gone through motivation, their strengths, the weaknesses. His motivation for this one is to destroy. I mean, he can shoot fire from his face and turn around his whole body, which has got some cool things. He looks cool villain, but no motivation for me, really. No redeemable qualities, no fear factor, because the whole film's really building up just to explaining Thor and who he is as a character, and then they kind of realise at the end, oh, we need a big battle scene. Chuck in the Destroyer, forgettable, don't care. I got no good thing to say about Destroyer, hence why he's last on my list. Yeah, I've not much to say about him. A dreadful villain, one I just don't care about. Let's move on to, I believe that's 21 on my list, which is from Iron Man 3. And we're going for, you've probably guessed it, the Mandarin. The Mandarin, I don't know if any of you have been watching the MCU since that long, or you got into it later on. But when Iron Man 3 was coming out and the trailer started dropping, if you remember that as much as I do, don't even tell me that you wasn't watching the Mandarin going, oh my god, this is the greatest movie villain of all time. Not just MCU or comic books, it looks like the scariest villain ever. They built him like a terrorist, and he was releasing these terrorist videos that we were getting used to seeing in the news anyway from Middle East terrorist organisations. And they're real scary, and you're seeing it, and you saw the fear in Tony Stark when you were seeing the trailer. And then you saw the film come out, and it was just the same. It was like, how is Tony Stark going to beat his character? What's he going to do? He was scary. He was a full-on terrorist, and he was scary. And then you meet the Mandarin, and he is a guy from London, East End London, an actor. He's not a villain, he's just a puppet who's just trying to get drunk, sleep with women. And it was the most disappointing thing. I remember being so excited to see this film. I thought it was going to be the greatest thing ever. It was coming straight off the first Avengers film, which was phenomenal. And halfway through the film, or probably 2/3 way through the film, when we saw this revelation, I just felt really deflated, and I could have walked out of the film. I was that disappointed. The reason he's not last is because of the build-up they had for him. The build-up was so good, and then when they had you fooled that he was the main villain, he was the Mandarin. As we've learned recently, that the Mandarin is coming back as a villain in a later on film, but obviously portrayed properly. So it's person playing the Mandarin in the film, even in the film. Before then, he was scary and creepy, and really, the anticipation was really high to see what was going to happen. So that's the reason he's not last, but he's just close to not being last. The next is one I'm wondering if it's going to cause controversy, actually, but hear me out. Hear me out on why this character is 20th on my list. It is the Winter Soldier from Captain America Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes. Sebastian Stan plays this really well. Obviously, this is a bit of a spoiler if you haven't seen the film, because you don't know who the Winter Soldier is, but it is Bucky Barnes, Captain America's best friend from the Captain America: The First Avenger. Now, let me explain why I put him so low down on my list. Because he is a good villain in the film. He's super strong. He can catch shield. You've not seen that before. It's creepy. Yeah, it's creepy because you don't know who he is, and he's super strong, and he's got this metal arm. You're like, what's going on? The reason he's so low down is because I don't really see much of a villain. If I had to do a list of my favourite Marvel heroes, he'd also be on that list, because I see him more of a hero. I was actually going to put the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Hydra as the villain, but he's not. Even though he's a villain of the piece, he's not the villain. I think they've built this whole film around Winter Soldier being the villain, so the reason he's not so high on the list, even though how great he was in that film and that was a good villain he was, to me he was just more of a hero who'd been brainwashed. It's a bit like calling Hawkeye a villain because he was brainwashed in Avengers 1 and he was on Loki's side. I see it more like that, and you don't really count Hawkeye as a villain. So that's my guessing on that. But if you disagree and you think he's a villain in his own right and he should be high on the list, again, hit me in the comments. Let's have a conversation. Let's put your thoughts across to me, and let's see where we go. Next on the list, we're going to be higher now because I have ranked these. I did a whole out of 10. That's how I worked out what position I was going. This one all those beforehand were 3 out of 10 to me. We're going into the 4 out of 10s now. And this is Yonrog. This is Jude Law's character in Captain Marvel. This, I feel Yonrog suffers a bit where how the Destroyer in Thor was let down. As in, this film is more about the story of Captain Marvel rather than the story as a whole and the villains and all that. It's more like here's Captain Marvel, here's how she became Captain Marvel, and here's her story. He's forgettable. I don't care. His motivation's a bit weak to me. The twist was quite good. It got me the first time, but I kind of worked. It got me as in for the first half of the film, I was like, oh yeah, he's obviously a good guy. And for the second half of the film, by halfway through the film, I worked it out. The problem is the revelation doesn't come until much later than halfway through the film. So you do work it out. And obviously he turns into the bad guy and you find out that his motivation is that he wants to destroy this long-standing enemy, the Krill. Is it the Krill? I'll put it down there if I'm wrong. Otherwise, smashed it. It's been a while since I watched Captain Marvel. I don't hate it as much as most people do. I do think Captain Marvel is a good film, by the way. Before that hate starts, I liked Captain Marvel as a film. But I didn't like the villain. As I said, forgettable, don't care, annoying. The whole film is annoying. I don't care about him, even when you think he's a good guy and he's helping Captain Marvel. I don't care. I think it's also because you want to get to know Captain Marvel and what her powers are so much that this guy's trying to hold them powers back. He's like, you go away so we can see the bit we want to see. So that's my thought on that one. I don't care about him. The only reason he's higher than a few of the other characters is because he's got something a bit about him, but he's just making a 4 out of 10. I could really make a stronger argument for him being lower in this list, but that's my point of view. Next is going to be Malekith, the Accursed from Thor: The Dark World. I think this might cause a bit of controversy as well, just because how high he is in the list. But I actually choose one thing: see him as a villain and not the film. The film, I know a lot of people don't like. I think I like it more than a lot of people. It's far from in my top 10, not close to my top 10. But I don't hate it. It's not in my least favourite film. I think there's worse films than Thor: The Dark World. But I really liked Malekith. I think he would have been really good if they just flexed their muscles a bit with the writing skill, because they had Christopher Eccleston as the villain, and if you watch any of my Doctor Who videos, you will know that I rate Christopher Eccleston as an actor very highly. And I think he's a really good actor. I think they could have really used him a lot better, but I liked what they did with him. I think he really worked really well. I thought he was creepy. He had motivation of his whole race had been killed by these Asgardians, and now the grandson is trying to kill him to get rid of him because he's got to survive. He kills Thor's mom, which obviously makes him better than a lot of other villains that have tried to attack Asgard over the thousands of years. He got through. I think he's a good villain. I think he looked great as well. This picture here I've used to show Malekith. I think it is an amazing publicity photo of the villain. I liked him. I thought he was smart, cunning. I liked him. As I said, I think he's a good villain. I'm looking at his list now and I'm thinking maybe I liked him more than this one I put down, which is Aldrich Killian from Iron Man 3. As I said, I did use 2 from this film, and that's because Aldrich Killian is the puppet master to the Mandarin. Guy Pearce is a great actor, there's no denying that, but it suffers because of the writing of this film. This film I hated on the first show. I walked out of the cinemas and I was like, no, don't see that film ever again. And it was because of how let down I was with the Mandarin. I generally didn't watch that film. I saw it once at the cinemas, and I rewatched it for the first time about 3 or 4 months ago when I rebought all the Marvel films and did a big Marvel binge. I liked the film a bit more the second time, and I did a big binge through them. But Aldrich Killian, I liked his motivation. I guess it was revenge from Tony Stark bullying him many years ago. He fancied Pepper Potts, who's now with Tony Stark. Is forgettable. Why did he breathe fire? That's stupid. I don't like that bit. It's, to me, no, I don't like him very much. As I said, I think on reflection, maybe I'll put Malekith even higher than Killian. Maybe I'll put Killian a 3 out of 10 rather than a 4 out of 10 next time, even a lot lower, I guess. But that's what I was thinking when I made this list. But that is my thoughts. Forgettable, don't care, rubbish, nah, not for me. Now we're going on to, this is number 16 in my list. And from the Incredible Hulk, it is Abomination. Tim Roth is a fantastic actor, and he's the one who portrays Abomination. More before he becomes Abomination, obviously. Not like that. Abomination is basically a stronger version of the Hulk. He takes too much of the serum and becomes an abomination. The motivation for me is not there. It's just, let's beat the Hulk, let's destroy the Hulk. And it turns into madness. I get it, I guess, but no, I think it's a case of where it was in the franchise and the films. Obviously, this is the second ever MCU film, and now still trying to iron out the kinks. But even then, Monger from Iron Man 1, as you can see, is higher on his list. They knew how to write villains. Abomination, it's a good villain. I said he's 16th on the list, so he's not obviously the worst, but yeah, he's a 4 out of 10, and I'll stick to that. He's a 4 out of 10 for me. We're going to jump up now. So these are my 6 out of 10s. So I haven't got any 5 out of 10s. I don't think any villain was middling. I think they were either poor or good onwards. None of them were like a go away. For me, they're good or bad. They never got a meh. If you disagree again, comments and start a conversation. So my first 6 out of 10 is Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man 1. Corey Stoll plays this villain. Is the typical I'm the villain from the get-go. There's no twist or anything. You know he's the villain. The reason he's actually so high up on this list as number 15th is because I get his motivation. He's seen this Ant-Man suit or heard about it, and he knows that I can use this to weaponize and protect the United States of America and possibly the world against threats. So I get the motivation. He's not a villain in that sense. He's actually trying to do good, but the way you go about it is a villainous way, I guess. And I think he looks amazing. He looks fantastic. I mean, that's pretty cool. But it's a bit too mustache twirling. I'm the villain of the piece. It's a bit one-dimensional at times. At other times, it isn't. It's the motivation's there, but sometimes it's like I'm the villain for the sake of being the villain. This is one at number 14. I reckon is going to cause some controversy. I reckon a lot of you might put this lower in the list. And I know a lot of you think this is the worst MCU film, and I disagree. And I can't wait to see the hate. So my number 14 is Whiplash from Iron Man 2, played by Mickey Rourke. I liked him. I know he could have been a lot better, and obviously, as Mickey Rourke said in interviews, he was written to be a lot better than he was, and he had a lot more thicker backstory, and you saw more about him. And I'd love to have seen that, obviously, but I liked him. I thought he was cool. I thought his motivation was there. Obviously, Stark Industries have stolen it all, his future and his dad's future from technology, But Whiplash is smart. He obviously makes a suit which rivals Iron Man, and obviously has the cool whips which I liked. I liked him. I thought he was cool. I thought he looked cool. I think Mickey Rourke played him really well. I liked him. That's why he's quite middling for me in this list. I'm actually a Whiplash fan. I can't wait to see the hate, but I liked it and I liked the film. Bring on the hate and explain to me why you don't, because as I said, I like it. I don't know what people's hate is for it. Now we are moving on to, what number are we on this one? Number 13. We're going on to Caecilius, played by Mads Mikkelsen. That's just me, Mads Mikkelsen. Do you notice that's not in any of my other videos? I moved that literally just straight off. Mads Mikkelsen is one of my favourite actors, so instantly when I heard he was going to be an MCU villain, I was like, sold. Yeah. Because Mads Mikkelsen playing villains is amazing. He's a Bond villain. He's a Hannibal Lecter in a series. He's an amazing villain. He plays villains perfectly. So when I heard he was an MCU villain, sign me right up. He was a good villain. It was just, he suffered a bit with the story being introducing Doctor Strange, introducing his whole new world of magic, and a bit of the Infinity Stones got explained in this one and what they were, and the Time Stone. He kind of got lost a bit, which wasn't his fault, and the character I thought was quite cool, but he was kind of sidelined at times to tell the story, and I think that's the only reason he's not higher in the list. I think if they had more screen time, the writing was a bit better for him. I think he could have been quite high on the list. As I said, he would have got a bit of bump up from me because Mads Mikkelsen's, I'm such a big fan of him. So that's my only gripe with him. That's the reason he's not high on the list. Is just he could have been better. But just his writing, in my opinion. So this means we move into number 12. And this is why I'm expecting hate, because he's not in my top 3 or top 5. Hear me out. Let me explain why he's 12 on my list. Loki. I can already see the hate through the screen. Loki's 12 on my list because, one, he's a great villain. His motivation's fantastic. Obviously, revenge against his family who don't just push him aside to Thor. He should be rightful heir to the throne, but he's not because of Thor. He's going to take over the world and prove who he is. But two things that stop it. One, from Avengers onwards, more of Avengers, he is Thanos' is puppet. He's doing things to please Thanos, and he has Thanos to help him do anything. So Thanos is like the puppet master, and Loki's kind of the puppet, which is fine. It just means Thanos is better than Loki in this scenario. The second reason is Loki kind of flip-flops in all these films between villain and hero. Some films he's a villain, sometimes he's a hero. That's not a bad thing, that's not a criticism. I like it's done very organically. I like the way they do it. It just means that he's not villain. He is sometimes a saviour. So how can he be a top villain if he's sometimes the hero? As he saves Thor's life a few times. He sacrificed himself in an Infinity War. He is part. I mean, he wouldn't go on my heroes list. He is a villain. He is solidly a villain. But he just has redeemable qualities that makes him part of a hero for me. The reason he's not lower in the list like Winter Soldier is because he did try and take over the world. He caused mass destruction and he killed thousands. He's obviously not a hero. While I put Winter Soldier in my hero list. So Loki's low in the list because I've seen partially as a hero and redeemable qualities, but he is fully a villain. That's why he's not as low as the Winter Soldier. So now moving on to number 11 on my list, which is Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Ego played by Kurt Russell, a legendary actor. So obviously, you automatically know the acting chops is going to be right up there. So there's no need to talk about that. You get a legendary actor, you're getting good acting. He is the ego of the human planet, to give him his full name. He wants to basically become this all-powerful celestial being. And he does that by taking over and absorbing life, and basically he wants someone to rule with him. So he goes to all these different worlds, all these different kinds, has loads of kids, and if they're not good enough, he murders the kids and throws them away. I think he's cool. I think obviously he's pretty much all powerful. He can be the hero or the villain, but he chooses to be the villain in these films. Obviously, I'm not going to comic book style and cartoons. Obviously, it's different. He flip flops a bit, but as I said, MCU only. He's the villain, very much the villain. If you feel like a bit like he's enslaved Mantis, I'm not sure. That's obviously not ever confirmed or denied, but that's how I kind of felt. I thought it was a good villain, and when you find out he killed and put the tumor in Peter Quill's mom, obviously you despise him for that. You're like, oh my god, I had to do it, and it seems done very well. But to me, he's not high on the list because he's a bit. I mean, he's obviously this is the start of my 7 out of 10s. I'm talking about it, maybe I should put my 6 out of 10. Maybe he's not a higher Loki, maybe. But I've laid my bed, got to lay in it. I'll put him on number 11 on my list and 7 out of 10. But yeah, obviously I think it's because he's all close to all powerful. Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's because of the amount of powers he's got. So now we're moving into the top 10. For the first 12 I've put in this list, what would you change? Obviously, let me know in the comments. If you are enjoying the video, please think about dropping a like and a subscription. It would mean the absolute world to me. And as I say, I do comment, I do respond and love chatting to everyone in the comments, so please feel free. So my number 10, this is one I must admit was a lot lower on my list, but I did because I felt they were forgettable, and for that reason I did rewatch the film about 2 nights ago and loved the villain like 10 times more than I thought I did. So they've probably got a bit of a head start because this was the last MCU film I watched. So maybe in a few weeks I'll look at this list and look at this person's position and go, that was stupid. This is Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. The reason I put her so high on the list is I really liked her motivation. Because she's not really the villain in a sense. I mean, she doesn't ever save anyone. She's not a hero, but she's not the villain. Is all she wants to do is survive. What really attracts me to villains is motivation, and I really like her motivation. I think it's a believable motivation. Like, if you're fading away into nothingness and you've got weeks to live, you will do anything to live, and that's what her motivation is. She doesn't want to hurt people, but she will to get what she wants. And I like that. And she looks amazing. I think the aesthetics of the character and the costume, I think, is brilliant. The actress Hannah John Kamen, I've seen her in other shows, such as Harlan Coben's The Stranger. She's a great actress, and I think she smashed the ball out of the park. Wow, words really do well for me. Even that sentence was dreadful. Let's move on. Yeah, I liked it. I thought she looked cool. I think it actually helps she's in a good film. So yeah, as I said, maybe in a few weeks I'll look at this and go, no, she should have been a lot lower in the list. And I can already see a lot of you going, no, she should have been a lot lower in the list. But my opinion is, I think she's a solid number 10. Now for number 9, we're in the single digits. We are on to Spider-Man Far From Home. Yes, it's Jake Gyllenhaal's portrayal of Mysterio. Mysterio going away from the MCU. We're not talking about his character here. I'm just going to say Mysterio was a big character for me when I was growing up. I loved him in the comic books and the cartoon series. I think he's a great villain. So when I heard he was coming to the MCU, and he was played by an incredible actor in Jake Gyllenhaal, I think is one of the top 10 actors for me at the moment, of actors going at the moment. He was great, and I think he portrayed him really well. His motives was there. It was revenge against Tony Stark, who snubbed him for his whole professional career, and he had the backing of everyone who snubbed. He was obviously incredibly smart. He knew how to play people's emotions and play with their motivations themselves. I thought he was a great character, and he looked amazing. He was one of the best looking MCU villains. If it was who looked coolest, he'd be top 3 in my opinion. Obviously his emotions got a bit too much for him, and his motivations and his emotions towards his motivations kind of pushed him a bit too far, but obviously that just made him human. I think Mysterio, I've got him a 7 out of 10 here, and I agree, he was amazing. I thought he was brilliant. Really liked him in a great film. Number 9 is Mysterio. So number 8, we are going to Red Skull. We're going for the Captain America First Avenger Red Skull, not when he comes up in Infinity War and Endgame. I don't see him as a villain at those films, but obviously he was in the first film. Played by Hugo Weaving, an amazing actor. Obviously he's also the leader of Hydra. Obviously with the incarnation of Hydra. He is a Nazi. That makes him evil from the very get-go. Obviously he looks cool when he pulls his skin face off, and he's got that red, obviously the Red Skull, hence the name. He was brilliant. He was scary, he was creepy, motivations were there. You knew he was evil from the get-go. He was a cool villain, and he went obviously against Captain America, who is an amazing hero, and they clashed really well together. It worked. I liked it. I liked Red Skull, and I was really happy to see him back in Infinity War and Endgame. Just sadly, obviously, not Hugo Weaving, but the great character himself was still there. We are now moving on to, is this number 7, I believe? Yes, it is number 7, which is the very first MCU villain. Yes, it is Monger from Iron Man 1, played by the fantastic Jeff Bridges. The reason he is so high on my list is more when he's not Ironmonger, because it's a good turn, it's a good twist. Obviously, he's Tony Stark's father figure. After he died, he raised him, he looked after him, he basically raised him in business and as a man, I guess. But when you find out that he's actually trying to bring down Tony Stark, and the whole reason he got captured and tortured was due to him, because he wanted to take over the company, was wicked. What a twist. And when he becomes Ironmonger, which is his version of trying to make the Iron Man suit, is brilliant. He's super strong. He can do everything Iron Man can, up to a point, obviously, because he loses, because it's a Marvel film. The villain always loses. Or does he? We'll get to that later on. I don't know why I'm making it mysterious. You got to this point without turning it off, and spoilers, you've probably seen them all, and you probably know. But, you know, got to keep you watching somehow. So yeah, that's what I like. I think because he went from his father figure and trusted figure to Tony Stark, to the man who's trying to kill him, and done so well and so convincingly and organically, that's why he's 7th on my list. Yeah, it's actually a 7 out of 10 for me. Now we're going to move on to the final 7 out of 10 before we move on to the 8 out of 10s. This is, I believe it is number 6 on my list. Yes, it is. He's 6 on my list, and because when the film came out, he was one of my favourite villains of Marvel, and watching back, he's still quite helped. I think he's really cool. And it is Ronan the Accuser from Guardians of the Galaxy. Also seen in Captain Marvel, but he is the lead villain in Guardians of the Galaxy. He suffers because for the same reason Loki does, as he is the puppet to Thanos, and Thanos is the puppet master. But in this case, Ronan doesn't want to be a puppet, and he doesn't believe he thinks he has one over on Thanos, obviously not realising the pure extent of Thanos' power. And he has the Infinity Stone, which is the Power Stone, I believe. I haven't watched this film for a while, even though that's a disgrace. I'm aware it's been a few months. And I did my big Marvel binge, same with a lot of these, to be fair, but I'm rambling. Ronan is cool. He looks awesome. When he puts his war paint on, and he puts his armour on, and his big hammer, he looks amazing. If I did this by MCU villains who looked coolest, top 5 instantly. I mean, it's not far off now. I think it's cool. His motivations, obviously, he wants to kill, murder, and stop Thanos. It's a bit one-dimensional at times, I guess, but I think I'm just kind of blinded by the fact that I think he looked super cool. His sound is super cool. You believe that he could murder people by the millions, which he does. You believed it just by looking at him. And I guess that's why it's so high up on the list. Maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe I'm clouded by my own emotions towards the character. As I said, I really loved him when I saw him in the film. He was a big one for me. But that's my list, so get over it if you don't like it. Put it in the comments. I'd reply to you, but it's cool. Get over it. This is one I know is going to cause a lot of controversy as we go into my top 5. I know a lot of you are probably going, you didn't include this character because you wouldn't have put him that high up. I did. I love this film. I know that's going to annoy a lot of yous. And I think he's a top 5 villain. Ultron from the Avengers Age of Ultron. Let me explain before you all turn off, because I don't know why you don't like him. I don't know why people don't like this film. I don't get it. Let me know in the comments, because I love this film. It is probably a top 5 of MCU film for me as well. So, you know, you don't like it. And obviously, I've put him as a top 5 villain. Ultron has an amazing motivation. His motivation is to save the world. He's the hero in his story. Obviously, the problem is he thinks saving the world is easiest if he ends the world and rebuilds from beginning again, which consists of killing everything on the planet. That's a cool motivation. I like it. He's not far from what Thanos was thinking, to be fair. Obviously, Thanos had a different way of doing it, but it's not far off from Thanos. And I just really like the way they did it. I think he looked amazing. Even from the Ultron Mark 1, where he's one of Tony Stark's rescue Iron Man things. And he can't the strings, and he's quoting Pinocchio, and you got no strings on me. I love that. I think it's so creepy. It's one of my MCU top moments. I love it. I think Ultron's brilliant. I think he's brilliant from the get-go. He's an 8 out of 10 villain for me, and I will stick with that every day of the week. Top 5 villain. I'm fully happy with that. I'm really happy where he ended up on this list. I think he's brilliant. If you don't like it, I don't care. My list. Now we're going into number 4, which is Hela from Thor Ragnarok. Now, Cate Blanchett plays Hela, so instantly you haven't got to talk about acting skill. Same with Kurt Russell. You've got acting skill in abundance right there. I think she portrays her super well. I think she looks amazing in the film. Obviously, her backstory is brilliant. Obviously, you want to know more about her backstory for the whole film. Obviously, the older sister of Thor, the firstborn of Odin, and Odin used her and her powers to destroy his enemies, and as soon as he was done with that, he banished her. Which obviously makes you put the whole of Odin's story into question. Is he the villain in the piece? He bred her to be this murderer and this character. Then as soon as he got what he wanted, he banished her. He put like Hela puts the heroes into question. She's the one who destroys Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. She takes Thor's eye out. She's obviously super powerful, and the only way, and this is why she's so high up in the list, the only way that even Thor can stop Hela is by setting Salter on her, the underground, very much a Satan-based demon who has to destroy the entirety of a planet just to destroy one person. Well, that's power. She looks cool, great acting, motivation's great, puts all the characters into perspective, and is super powerful. Top 4 villain. Tell me I'm wrong, because you'll struggle. She's wicked. Now we're going to the top 3. As I said, we're going to top 3, so I'll just bang through these. Obviously, not bang through them as in I'm going to rush through them, and not at all. I'm going to talk about these a lot more than the others because they're my top 3. But before I get into the top 3, again, if you have enjoyed this video, and you obviously, if you didn't enjoy it, you're not going to enjoy the last bit. If you did enjoy it, you're going to enjoy the last bit. But drop a like, it would mean a lot to me. If you hated my ranking, put yours in the comments. Let's have a civilized conversation. So this is purely my opinion. I know I'm going to annoy a lot of you with this opinion, but it's just how I feel. I would love to hear your version. And I said we're going to do a lot more videos like this. I've done other videos in the past, so feel free to check them out. And so drop a subscribe. That would mean the world to me. And let's have some fun as we get into the top 3. I hope you can all agree with my top 3. I don't think I've got many controversies in my top 3. So let's go into number 3, which is Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming, played by the fantastic Michael Keaton. So obviously, you know, acting's on there already. His motivation is, it's brilliant. All my top 3 I love motivations for. He is just a working man who's been screwed by the system. He wants to make money to raise his family. That's his motivation. He doesn't want to take over the world or murder people. He wants to basically provide a living for his family, and he will do what he needs to do that. It's a fantastic motivation. It's so believable. It's a human quality. It's brilliant. He looks fantastic. I mean, he looks amazing. When he's in the full Vulture costume with the wings outspread and coming down with his claws to get Spider-Man, he's brilliant. He's a super cool villain. His motivation's amazing, and he's loyal. Obviously, the after credits scene is up for interpretation when he doesn't give up Spider-Man's identity, even though he knows Spider-Man is Peter Parker. But obviously, and someone goes, well, who is he? And he goes, I don't know. Obviously, the interpretation is he protecting Spider-Man's identity because Spider-Man saved his life at the end of the film? Or is he just biding his time, as obviously we've seen from the Morbius trailer, that maybe there's a Sinister Six being bred and they're going to come into it? So obviously, Vulture will get his next opportunity. We will see. But if we see it as a protecting Peter Parker, then loyalty throughout. Obviously, he's all got loyalty to his family as it is. But he's got loyalty to Spider-Man because Spider-Man saved his life. If we're going down that route, we've got a cool looking villain, amazing motivation, probably the best motivations in all the villains, minus my number 1, which is arguable, and he's loyal. I'm not going to say like super powerful because I wouldn't say he is, but I think his motivation puts him number 3 for me. That's my number 3. My number 2, we only have 2 left. Woo-hoo. This is my first and my only 9 out of 10 villain. Yes, I think this guy is near perfect as a villain. And I'll explain why, and I think I am just at putting him in number 9 and near perfect. It is Eric Killmonger from Black Panther, played by an actor I'm a huge fan of, which is Michael B. Jordan. Massive fan of Michael B. Jordan for years now. So when I saw he was a MCU villain, I was a bit disappointed as a villain because I was hoping like, he's going to be one film only, killed off. hope he's a good villain. But even though that is true, I think he portrayed such a good role and such a good character and did it so well, and obviously so well written and looks cool and motivations there. He's a villain that you're not going to forget. He's going to survive the comic book MCU history, and I think in another 10 years, if MCU is still churning out films, then he will still be a top villain. His motivation is there. Actually, I'm not going to talk about his motivation at the moment. I'm going to flip this. Killmonger. If this film wasn't a Black Panther film, and this film was a Killmonger film, Killmonger would be the hero of the film, and Black Panther would be the villain. Let me explain why. What has Killmonger done wrong in the film? Nothing. He was just born to a man who wasn't allowed back in Wakanda because he did some sketchy things. That's not Killmonger's fault. Killmonger wants to come back into Wakanda and be able to take his rightful place in Wakanda, which is within the royalty, because obviously his uncle was the king of Wakanda. His cousin is now the king of Wakanda. He deserves a place on the High Council of Wakanda. That's true. Can't argue with that motivation. He fights the Black Panther in the correct way, to their traditions. He beats Black Panther fair and square and becomes the king of Wakanda. He's done nothing wrong there. All he's had is Black Panther and T'Challa deny him of this the whole time. That's not very fair. He's just trying to do what's right for his. So if you flip this film, you could see Killmonger as the hero of the film and T'Challa as a villain. It's all about perspectives, and that's what makes him such a good villain. I mean, he does obviously questionable things. Obviously, with even the scars over his body, it's every kill. But he was in the army, so he was killing the bad guy. You saw him murder Andy Serkis' character, Klaus. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. But yeah, you saw him murder him, but he was the villain of the piece as well. He could have quite easily been another one on the list. I didn't, because I thought Killmonger was a villain, main villain in this piece, and the other film you saw him in was Age of Ultron, but Ultron was a villain. That's the reason he didn't make the list, I guess. But he was a horrible human being. And obviously the theft of the British Museum, villainous, and he started war in Wakanda. Bit villainous, yeah. He did villainous things, but I think only because you saw him from Black Panther's point of view. I think if you flip this film, Killmonger's the hero. And I think he has some amazing moments. And I think he's one of the greatest villains in the MCU. And I will stick by his number 2 spot to the death. So let's go into my number 1. If you haven't worked this out, maybe this isn't a video for you. Because yes, my number 1 is obviously Thanos. And I can explain this in 2 words. Thanos won. The only MCU villain to win. His motivation was to destroy half the universe. He succeeded. Tell me I'm wrong. His motivation is right there. He actually wants to save people. He is the hero in his own head. He can see that starvation and poverty is taking over the universe, and he knows if there were less people or less beings, that will no longer be an issue. So he thinks if we get rid of half the population of the universe, the other half will can strive. That's fair. That's true. You can agree with that. He is super powerful. He has all the Infinity Stones. He has the power of infinity. He can do anything he likes. That's pretty incredible. It looks fantastic. He achieves his goal. He has to take all the Avengers and the whole army of Wakanda to take him down. Come on. if you don't think like what Thanos is, obviously his strengths obviously there. He's super strong. He has Infinity Stones. He's motivated. He has loads of strength. What are his disadvantages? Because I was trying to write that down, and I honestly had to leave that blank, that section for me when I was trying to work out my top 22. I think he's an amazing villain. I struggled to find what his disadvantages are as a villain. He succeeded. 10 out of 10, and that's what I ranked him as a 10 out of 10 villain. I struggled to find faults with him. That's my list, people. I know you're going to disagree. As I said, put it in the comments. Let's have a chat about what your list was. Obviously, if you don't agree with all the villains, give me a top 10, 5, 3, 2. That's cool. We'll have a chat about that. And think about dropping a subscription. If you want to see any other lists, or it doesn't have to be MCU, or if you want MCU, put some ideas in the comments. Ideas are fantastic. And drop a like if you enjoyed the video. You know, all that malark. Share it if you know people are going to like it. That'd be really helpful. And I hope you have a good day, everyone. Love you lots. Thank you guys for making it to the end of the video. If you liked this video, drop it a like. If you want to see more, drop subscribe. If you want to share it with your friends, hit share. And if you want to watch another video, you will see another video right here and another video right here. And appearing on just above my face right now should be a subscribe button. If you hit that, I will say thank you a million times over. Thank you for watching the video. Hope to see you again.